What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch and review for you. So today we're talking about the newest collection from Holo Taco, which is called Pixel Perfect. Now before we get into the details, if you haven't heard of Holo Taco before, they are a nail polish brand created by YouTuber Christine of Simply Nailogical, and all their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They're vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. So like I said, we've got the Pixel Perfect collection. It's got 7 brand new shades, and it's actually a rainbow of pastel holographic glitters. And within those glitters, we actually have a little square shaped holo glitters, which I think is extra fun. It gives a little bit of that 8-bit pixely vibe. So I'm just gonna jump right into the swatches, and then we can talk a little bit more about my thoughts on them, pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch and review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today it's the Holo Taco base coat. Okay, so I'm actually not going to go in color order here just because I want to show all of the cooler toned colors side by side, and I think they're really good to compare because in the bottle they do look somewhat similar, but I think when you see application you'll realize that they're pretty different. But this first one is Bonus Life, and this is a really gorgeous minty green jelly base that is totally packed with holographic glitters. And like I said, we have the addition of those square shaped glitters, which is super fun. And with all of these, I am going to show you what it looks like in 3 coats, but a lot of them I do think are perfect for wearing as 2 coat coverage as well, just because if you don't need that total glitter bomb on your nail, you can also wear it in a slightly more toned down look, and I think it still looks equally gorgeous. It's super smooth. It doesn't look patchy at all even before it reaches that full opacity. So definitely really impressed with this formula, especially for being a glitter. They tend to be a little bit on the gummy side, and these were not. Next up, we have the shade 8-bit Blues, and this one is a slightly cooler toned blue. So this one I would call more of a pastel sky blue base. And then we have, once again, a ton of different holographic glitters in there, as well as the square shaped glitters, which are just super fun. And honestly, I do think that sometimes they're hard to pick out on camera, but I think they just add to the dimensionality of the polish, and you do kind of see those edges at random times, and it's super fun. Definitely gives that pixelated sort of vibe. But again, I thought this one looked gorgeous in 2 coats, but I also wanted to see what it looked like in 3 just to really build up that coverage, and I thought it looked gorgeous both ways. And I feel like this is a really great color because it almost works for every season. You have that pastel sort of color, which is good for springtime. You have those really intense sparkles for summertime, and then it also feels like it could be a good like wintry shade as well. So I really love the versatility of this. Now, Holo Taco did bless us with 2 purples for the collection, and if you know me, you know I love purple, so I was very excited about this. The first one is called Lo-Fi Lavender, and this one is a cooler toned lavender base. Again, we have the holo sparkle running throughout, as well as the holographic square glitters. And once again, I loved the way that this looked in 2 coats. I feel like what's really cool about this collection is because the colors flow so nicely into each other and they are in a jelly base, I think there's a lot of opportunities to do nail art and combinations of these colors together, even doing like a gradient without a sponge, because I think they're going to very seamlessly blend together, but they would also be very pretty in a Skittle manicure. But here's what it looks like in 3 coats, even more gorgeous if possible. I just love that cool toned purple. And then we have the shade Glitch and Glam, and this is the other purple polish of the collection. This time we have a lot warmer of a base, so this one is almost like an orchid tone, and we have a ton of holographic glitters in there, including the square holo glitters. And once again, just such a fun one. I feel like these 2 colors, even though they're very different undertones, would blend really nicely together. Like I said, just kind of creating this sort of seamless gradient because it's the same finish and it has that softer jelly buildable base. So I think that's going to be really fun to play around with. I definitely plan to experiment. And here's what it looks like in 3 coats. I think it just built up that color a little bit more. It did make the purple shade a little bit deeper and cooler toned on me. I think when it comes to these sorts of polishes, they tend to look even warmer on me when they're on the sheer side because I am very warm undertoned. So it might slightly vary in 2 coats based on what your undertone is. And moving right along with the rainbow, we have Control Cutie, and this one is a pink jelly base. Once again, we have a ton of holographic sparkle in here, including including the square glitters. And I will say this one actually in the first coat I thought looked so gorgeous and soft, and I actually feel like this would be a great topper. To be honest, I think all of them could be used as toppers over deeper or matching colors, but this one I felt like the base was light enough that you could get away with putting it over any color and it wouldn't have that sort of pink tinge to it. Again, definitely going to be doing some experimenting. I keep meaning to do this jelly nail art video, and these are perfect polishes to include in that, so stay tuned. But yeah, I honestly thought this one looked gorgeous in 1 coat, 2 coats, and 3 coats. I feel like it just builds up to be this super pretty, very slightly cool toned pink, but it works no matter how you apply it. And then the last 2 polishes of the collection are actually a little bit on the warmer side. This one is called Byte My Peach, and this one I would honestly describe as more of a coral toned base, so it kind of sits somewhere between being an orange, a red, and a pink, so it does definitely have that peachy sort of vibe to it, and the opacity is really impressive here. I do think that this one gave me really nice coverage in 2 coats, but just to keep it consistent, I was curious to see what it would look like in 3, and I think it looks gorgeous that way as well. I feel like this is also kind of a classic color inclusion that we see from Holo Taco, this sort of corally orange color, so I think that was a really fun addition, and it still manages to blend in nicely with the collection, so I really appreciate that. And the final shade in the collection is this beautiful gold, and this one is called Coin Toss, and once again we are totally packed with this holographic glitter, including the little square glitters, and this was another one that I think would work really well as a topper over any color, just because in that first coat it was soft enough that it really could blend in really nicely over any color. I'm just imagining a black manicure with a holographic gradient going up from the free edge of the nail. I think that would be so gorgeous. But yeah, this is a really perfect gold in my opinion. It's not too yellow. It has this nice neutral tone to it, so it doesn't necessarily feel too silvery or too burnt golden kind of color, which I think is a really nice compromise. Honestly, I would have also loved to see a silver in this collection, but I do think that the gold is very unique and pretty, so I appreciate that they included that. And here are all the polishes together. I have to say, I think this is such a beautiful color story. I love when Holo Taco does these rainbow sort of collections, but I especially love how seamlessly these colors flow into each other, not just for Skittle nail art, like I said, but also just for using in nail art and gradients. And because they have that jelly formula, I think they're going to be so perfect for easy gradient nail art, and I think that that's really gorgeous. Obviously, I love those little square glitters. I think they're such a fun addition, and I think they add so much depth to the polish. Now, I always like to apply glitter polishes just regularly as if it were any other polish. There's always the opportunity that you can sponge on a polish like this, but I will say I think these applied really well just applying them normally, and because they have that jelly base, I have a feeling that this is the best way to apply them and still get that full depth of color and glitter. And they really didn't feel too thick on the nail or difficult to work with. I found them to be very easy, very smooth, and like I said, I feel like I could get away with wearing a lot of these in 2 coats on my nail length. So yeah, let's get into my thoughts on them a little bit more. So those are the polishes, and as you can see, I really enjoyed these. Honestly, I love when Holo Taco does these rainbow collections, especially when they're super holographic like this, and I think having those really intense holo glitters in these fun jelly colors just really worked very well. They flow into each other really nicely, and if you know me, you know I love a fun shaped glitter, so I was totally sold as soon as I saw the little squares. And I also think this is a really fun twist for this time of year, kind of that transition between spring and summer, where I feel like we're used to a lot of pastel sort of shades, but this time we get them with these really intense rainbows in there that really suit the sunshine. So it's kind of nice to have that flow into this transitional into summertime. And as usual, I feel like the Holo Taco color palette that they tend to stray towards is my exact color palette. I just love the purples, the pinks, the blues, the greens, so I always love to see an abundance of those. I know it's not for everybody, but personally it just speaks to my soul, so always very excited to see that. So now let's get into pricing and availability. All of these polishes come in the usual 12 milliliter bottles. They do feature a wide flat brush that has a rounded tip, so application super easy, and they retail on the Holo Taco website for $14 USD each, or you can get the set of 7 polishes for $91 USD. So I'm gonna link that all down below. You can check them out if you're interested, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this collection? What do you think of the Holo Taco sets? sets where we have a rainbow all in the same finish in different colors. And let me know, have you picked up any of these or are you planning to? Leave it all in the comments, we can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button, it really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe. I love you all and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye. Today's collection is giving me a strong nostalgia, so I thought this would be a fun would you rather for today. And this is more for you guys than for me because the question is, would you rather play Neopets or Club Penguin? I gotta be honest, I've actually never seen, played, heard of. I mean, I guess I've heard of it, but I've never done anything with Club Penguin. I don't know if that was after my time or it couldn't have been before my time. But yeah, I was very into Neopets when I was a little bit younger. Never got into Club Penguin, but I am curious how many of you were Club Penguin people over Neopets people. So leave it in the comments and also let me know your age because I am, wait, how old am I? I'm turning 34 soon. And I was a Neopets kid. So let me know your age and which one you were. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!